You're listening to No Plot, Only Lore, a podcast about games and the tables we play them at. Your DMs tonight and every night are Josh and Chris. You can find us on all podcast platforms or check us out at noplotonlylore.com. If you like what you hear today, please rate and review the show and share it with everyone you've ever met.
Welcome back to No Plot, Only Lore. This week brought to you by Amazon Prime. I was trying to remember who we said last week, and I remembered that it was HBO.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Like HBO or Max or HBO Max? Or...
Yes. All of them. We got checks with every name on them.
Oh, okay, good.
Big, beautiful checks for $0.
We didn't mail them all at the same time, did we?
No, we were talking about gritty reboots, and HBO is kind of known for their gritty, realistic, sometimes prestige TV offerings.
Okay.
And because we're going to be continuing with that, I decided to go with the kind of shitty cousin to that, Amazon Prime. Have you seen any good shows on Amazon Prime?
Man in the High Castle.
I haven't seen Man in the High Castle.
That's pretty good. I initially enjoyed The Boys. I am enjoying it less and less as time goes on.
Fair.
I don't know if it's boys related reasons, but it's definitely Amazon related reasons.
I feel like, okay, so one of the big changes that they made to The Boys that I think was kind of to the series' detriment is that in the comics, the boys take Agent V.
Right.
Mother's Milk's whole backstory is
yep.
about how he gets that through Milk. And the other characters are taking it or have taken an injection of it or whatever. And so they have superpowers, so they're able to go toe to toe with these fucking superheroes.
Right.
And I get where there's some additional drama from being powerless people going up against superpowered people. Uh-huh. But a bunch of the plot lines just don't make sense if your main characters don't have superpowers.
Well, I mean, one, Butcher has taken Compound V, so there's some of that. I do think that, Huey in particular being so actually fragile is a more interesting twist on the series, especially given how the whole show starts. So there's that to consider. I'd never read The Boys before this, so
right.
I'm just kind of coming at it with, I don't want to say fresh eyes, but just without any sort of preconceptions about what The Boys should be. And I don't feel like the story is necessarily worse for them not having superpowers.
Yeah, there were a few things where I definitely thought that superpowers would have been better. But I only watched the first season,
okay,
and I kind of gave up on the comics at about the point of the orgy rave.
Oh, right. What's it called on the show? Hero-gasm or something?
Yeah, that's what it's called in the comics, too.
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember and don't care to. There's a point where... Was it Ennis? Garth Ennis?
Sure.
Who wrote The Boys? I kind of want to look it up.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Tippity-tap. Yeah. His whole thing, for me, has a very limited shelf life.
Yeah.
Because, I know a lot of people love Preacher. I never really got
yeah.
on the Preacher train. I know a very specific group of people really love Crossed, and I don't talk to those people.
Yeah. I read Preacher when I was a teenager, and that's probably the worst time to read it, where you don't have context or a fully formed frontal lobe. So looking back now, I'm a lot of this is just edgy for edgy's sake, but at the same time, I still feel having watched the series and stuff like that, and comparing the two, Preacher was actually trying to do something that wasn't just shock people.
And there's a point in The Boys where I think it moves into that.
Yeah.
Where it just like it stops being about a like interesting examination of superheroes in kind of like a down to earth way.
Right.
And starts being how fucked up can we make these superheroes so that their ridiculous crimes against humanity make sense for our characters to go and beat the ever living shit out of them.
Right.
And that doesn't really appeal to me as much. I get that a lot of people do, but we're not here to reboot The Boys.
No, I was going to say The Boys is one of the things I watch on there. I would say the other things that are great on Amazon that are worth investigating are Reacher and just Reacher.
Okay. Again, another series that I didn't watch. I have had the unfortunate luck to mostly have been brought in by Lord of the Rings.
Ew.
And The Wheel of Time.
Ew.
And that's about it.
Okay. All right.
I'm trying to remember. I recall there being at least one series on there that I did like. And I can't remember what it was now. And I don't want to go digging through their whole catalog to find it on air.
Yeah, that's fine. There was something else that I'm stupid. Invincible. Or that's...
Yeah, Invincible's good.
Yeah.
Is that Amazon, bro?
That is Amazon.
Okay.
There, that's it. That's the only thing you need to watch is Reacher and Invincible.
Now I really want to go find that series that I was watching, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so we were talking about gritty reboots of things that do not necessarily need a gritty reboot, but it is fun to imagine them anyway. Do you have a favorite thing this week that you would like to reboot in a gritty way?
Of all the things that we put on this list, I think... Okay, there's one that we're going to have an argument about that we knew we were going to have an argument about. I think we can both agree, though, that a gritty reboot of Pokémon is like 90% there. We just got to get it across the border or whatever the end goal is.
So, like, the thing with Pokemon for me is that it's already dogfighting.
Yep.
Right? Like, it's glorified catching your own chicken for the cockfights.
Mm-hmm.
And the only people that ever made any sense in that whole world were the people who were like the enemy team in Black and White, who were like, no, this is actually evil. Like, the thing that you guys are doing is animal abuse. Can you please stop making them fight? And then the answer to that was, but he's my friend.
My friend wants to
fight.
fight. Yeah. He's got free will. He better fucking fight.
So, like, if we assume that the adorable cockfighting seizure monsters are not necessarily there of their own accord, it gets dark real fast.
Well, that's only if you think animals deserve any sort of rights.
Like, not a lot, but a few.
I guess my idea of animal husbandry and yours are very different.
Yes, mine generally don't involve, like, abject torture and forcing them to fight for entertainment. Also, do you eat the dogs after in a dog fight? I'm pretty sure you don't.
You could.
You could. I have a feeling the meat would be bad.
Yeah, it's definitely going to have a little bit of adrenaline in there.
Yeah, some adrenaline, and also, like, it's been bitten by a dog a lot.
Oh, right. That happens too,
yeah. Yeah. And it's, like, predator meat, which is not always the best.
Oh, I don't know. I've had some pretty good, what was the one? Cougar.
Okay. I've never had cougar. I was warned away from it.
Well, as familiar as I am with cougars.
Hey.
No,
I don't think it would take much to get a gritty reboot of Pokemon, even if we assume that, like, the cockfighting isn't the focus. Like there have been a couple of Pokemon things that have taken it a bit more seriously that have been pretty cool.
Well,
like
so
there was
go ahead.
There was a series that they put out, like a limited mini series that focused on the character Red from the first games.
Okay.
And like his journey, and it was very much a parallel to the whole Ash Ketchum thing, but taken with a bit more seriousness, right? So it wasn't like, I'm going to go be a Pokemon master. It was like, no, I'm going to be a Pokemon master. Like, I have some determination. We're going to fucking do this. We're going to do it right. And like just upping that a little bit, like the seriousness on that front really changed the tone of the whole thing and made it feel a lot more grounded. So
like he said master in like the wrong way.
Yeah. So like I think there's a gradient of gritty that we could go on this. How gritty do you want your Pokemon to be?
So when I say gritty reboot, I just mean like I want Detective Pikachu to be the baseline for the whole series. Where it's a real world and those Pokemon are real animals. Whatever that means, even if it's like uncomfortable to look at, like a lot of the ones were in that movie.
Yeah, they really were.
There was a lot of art in that movie that it was just it was accurate to the game, but like in a way that I didn't want it to be.
No, that Charizard did not look like a real thing.
No.
It looked very much like a cartoon that had accidentally woken up.
The Mr. Mime I was not a fan of.
Mr. Mime, I think, was one of the best ones that they did. Like that one was Uncanny Valley, but I felt like it was meant to be.
There was, what was that thing with the big like speaker ears? Those guys were not great.
We're gonna get eviscerated by the Pokemon community.
Hey, they don't listen to us.
Ish might.
Oh, right, Ish does. Sorry, Ish.
I'm sorry, I don't remember the names of all the Pokemons, but the dubstep beatboxer Pokemon.
Yeah, Dubstepmon.
Not one that I remember. Who's that Pokemon? Dubstep.
It's Pikachu. Anyways,
so I wouldn't necessarily consider like Detective Pikachu to be gritty, but I feel like if that's the direction you want to go, that's a really easy transition.
But it's like, I guess, okay, do you always assume gritty to have some sort of like weird negative connotation? Because in my mind, gritty just means like more realistic.
I think part of grittiness for me is always like an examination of the subject matter through a realistic lens.
Okay.
So like it isn't necessarily negative, but there is so much about Pokemon that if you look at it even a little bit critically, it immediately falls apart.
Right.
And becomes possibly some of the most evil shit that we can imagine.
You're really hung up on this whole like not real animal slavery thing.
Yeah, not a big fan of the animal slavery in general. But like also the fact that they recently were in a war and Pokemon were used in that war. They never go into it.
Yeah, okay, that part was definitely odd, to say the least.
Yeah, like Lieutenant Surge is a vet and has electric Pokemon, which means that he was using electric Pokemon in the war.
Yeah.
There are some war crimes that have happened recently.
It really does give me, like, big child soldier energy.
Yep, absolutely. Especially considering that, like, Brock and Lieutenant Surge do not look like they are that much older than one another, and Brock is canonically 16.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that shit got weird. And also, like, where the hell is Ash's dad? Did he die in the war?
Okay. My own headcanon is that Ash was an immaculate conception. And he is the messiah of Pokemon.
Jesus. All right, moving on.
I did it.
All right, one of the ones that we've talked about a little bit, and we've had some discussions about like which one we want to focus on, is the weird obsession with ninjas that North America had in the 1980s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time to be
I put down American Ninja.
So I was going to say, the 1980s were a great time to be a guy who bullshit about his martial arts history. You got movies like Bloodsport that just fully believed a guy who said he walked into the woods and won a karate tournament. We're going to tell your tale, sir. You let a guy who clearly has never fought a human being in his life make a whole series of movies about how he beats up every single person without getting touched. So I guess you're welcome, Mr. Seagal, for your entire career.
That guy, man. Can we just gritty reboot his life? Can we take his life and do a gritty reboot of Steven Seagal?
Yeah, if we gave him like a gritty reboot that touched the fantasies that he has told the world about his capabilities, sure.
Right? Like, can you imagine if he actually had skill?
Can you imagine if he learned a martial art that was actually about, hurting people or doing anything other than just kind of waving at them?
I'm going to redirect your energy. It's like the most passive martial art. And then he's trying to be a fucking badass about it.
Yeah.
Although Under Siege was formative for me.
Was that the one in the South? No, that was the one on the boat.
No, that's the one on the boat.
There was
Cake titties were absolutely an important thing in like my burgeoning manhood.
I'm trying to.
I don't remember most of that movie.
Fire Down Below. One of them, he just went into the American South and beat up hillbillies for an hour and a half.
Okay, you know what? I think that's a movie we should reboot. Oh wait, we just did that. It was Civil War.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, the problem is now it's too real, so...
Yeah, no, that's too gritty. Too gritty. But yeah, like, Three Ninjas was one that you suggested.
Yeah, so
and
I think, did you put just American Ninja?
Yeah, like the American Ninja movies were deeply, deeply stupid. They were about a white guy who's a ninja.
Those are the Chris Farley ones, right?
Nope.
Oh, which one was the Chris Farley ones?
I don't recall.
Because he also did movies about being a white ninja.
Yeah, but that was after the thing, right? Like that was after the rush. Like that was when it was cool to make fun of the ninja thing that had happened.
Right. I was going to say, yeah, if you want to get back to... Oh, because then we're also forgetting the Karate Kid. Like the solo Three Ninjas movie.
I mean, I think... Okay, so I think that there is a progression from like Karate Kid to Ninja Turtles to everything is ninjas to ninjas are stupid now.
Well, yeah, they oversaturated the ninja market. The whole value of ninjas is in their scarcity.
Yes. Although for the Ninja Turtles, it was mostly just like, if you put the words Teenage Mutant and Ninja in the title of a comic book, you're going to sell it. And then they proved that by putting Teenage Mutant Ninja into the title of a comic book and sold 8 bazillion copies.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Aardvarks.
No, for real, I would read that.
Yeah.
You give me Teenage Mutant Ninja Aardvarks, I will read that book. Also... like, relating it back to role-playing games for the first time in a little while, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness role-playing game was a stupid amount of fun for a Palladium game.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, in that same vein, Free RPG Day just happened recently.
Oh, yeah.
And I grabbed a little intro book for the Transformers and G.I. Joe RPG.
Both of which are like rife for gritty rebooting.
Yeah, the fact that they are the same game is wild to me.
They share a universe.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I do like the idea of the Joes just getting absolutely stomped by Megatron at some point, though.
Some of them do, but then they've also got Autobots on their side.
Right,
so
right.
Cobra is all in with the Decepticons occasionally because they do that like bad guy infighting biz.
Yeah. Classic weakness. I really want to see some ding dong random average, like, because there's the Joes with all the special characters, but then there's just like the other guys. I just want to see one of them get stomped on by Starscream, like just not like
Yep.
Not in a like funny haha kind of way, just like, oh no, this is the horrors of war and actual fighting machines.
Okay, you know what though? That would actually make for a pretty interesting movie idea. Like if you were to do G.I. Joe and Transformers as a movie.
Yeah. Like Michael Bay Transformers?
Like not Michael Bay, maybe Bumblebee. Did you watch Bumblebee?
I did watch Bumblebee. It was fine. It was better than the Michael Bay Transformers movies.
It was inoffensive, which is a stark contrast
to
the rest of the Transformers franchise to that point. And since.
And Michael Bay as a human being.
And Michael Bay, you know what? The man knows how to make money. He knows what China wants, and China wants big trucks punching each other. But yeah, if you were to like make a G.I. Joe movie and then in the middle of the G.I. Joe movie, not telling anybody, like no forewarning of this at all, suddenly one of the tanks turns into a giant fucking robot.
And just turns a human being into goo.
You have just made all the money. Like, why is this not happening right now?
I was going to say, so I like, what is it? The Gundam stuff, right? Like I make Gunpla. I've never really watched the series because it's old anime and I have a hard time with any anime, let alone old bad stuff. But I'm very tempted to actually watch it now because a clip came across my feed this week. I don't know why people were talking about Gundam for some reason, and there was a clip from one of the shows where the people were just like, I guess two Gundams were fighting it out in like the middle of a like crowded metropolitan area, and several like I guess main characters or something were trying to run away, and they were being followed by a woman with her daughter, and then the fight is like, it's not happening like directly above them, but obviously like these monsters but these like horrifically sized robots are duking out with each other very, very close by. And one of like the good guy Gundams starts opening fire on the other one with this massive autocannon on its back. And one of the ejected casings bonks this woman on the side of the head and kills her instantly. While she's running, holding her baby. And like
God
someone
damn.
has to like run back and grab the baby and like close the mom's eyes because she's a goner.
Sounds like Gundam.
Yeah, do that in a real movie, please. Like,
Gundam seems like a good project for that. Like to do a Pacific Rim sized war movie.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just the Robo-Jacks fighting each other.
Yeah.
Instead of fighting a kaiju. Yeah, no, I think, like, that and Robotech.
Yep. Same idea. They're the same thing.
Yeah, they're in the same general vein. But, like, yeah, do, like, a grounded, gritty war show about 12-story robotic monsters kicking the crap out of each other.
See? Yeah, and the thing that sold it for me, really, not to be like, blasé about it, but the collateral damage of, the little people. Like, that's something that Game of Thrones alluded to, but never really showed off, was just how the small folk are affected by, and in Game of Thrones, it's fucking dragons and people ambitious for power. In Battletech and Robotech and all the Gundams, it's literally just random people and giant robots. Like,
there was a great series. It had a short run, but it was a Marvel series that was put out during the Civil War, like the first Civil War.
Okay.
That was just like reporters.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like it was Robbie's new newspaper that he put together, and they were just doing like reporting on the superhero war.
Right.
It was great.
Yeah.
And part of that was just the focus on ordinary ground level people dealing with the fact that every couple of days the Vulture swings by and Spider-Man and him wreck some shit for a while, and then they zip away, continuing their fight elsewhere, and now my apartment is totaled.
Yeah. Yeah. And now what am I supposed to do? Go home to what?
And like the superhero insurance just keeps getting more expensive. Like, why the fuck do I even live in New York?
Yep.
I really like those ground level investigations into those like huge events.
Just the idea that you would need superhero insurance. Like, oh right, my apartment's gonna get totaled every once in a while. Better pony up to make sure I can have a place to stay while they repair it.
I'm going to move to Montana, not because New York is expensive, but because I have fewer concerns about superhero fights.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, if there's ever been a fight, like, in Montana, and all I can think of is, like, maybe Invincible and his dad fought over Montana, but there was nobody around. They were just punching each other through the desert.
Yeah, like there are occasions where other parts of America get involved in the superhero nonsense, but it's usually like New York or LA,
right?
Are like the major focal points for that.
That's right, Metropolis.
So, Metropolis in Gotham, yeah. But no, it's always interesting to look at that from like the ground view. So I think like there's a few series that if we did want to do like a gritty reboot of them, one of the best ways to do that would just be focus on the little folk.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like if we were to do, let's see what we got here. Captain Planet.
Oh God.
Nah, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You do Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Okay.
With all of the like grittiness of like child soldier war that is raging across sometimes multiple galaxies, and instead of dealing with all the Rangers, just like deal with their parents.
Ooh, okay. Okay, I'm down.
Right? Like, started off in like an AA style meeting where a bunch of parents are getting together to talk about their kids running off to fight a war against some gigantic rubber-suited monster. Like, I'm just trying to keep my kid alive and safe, and he's addicted to it. He can't stop morphing.
Sorry. I'm imagining this meeting happening and then, like, just show accurate Rita Repulsa in the background, just kind of like, eh!
I love it. But, like, I think Power Rangers is actually a really good option for this because so many of their fights are done in, like, the classic kaiju style
sure.
of, like, smashing over skyscrapers made out of cardboard. Right? And so every Power Rangers fight has a death toll in the thousands.
Right.
How do you deal with that?
You can't, really.
You can't. Like, there's no way to conceptualize that other than the fact that you now live in a post-apocalyptic kaiju wasteland.
Right. Yeah, that's awful.
And that, by itself, is a great idea for a TV series.
True.
Just like the aftermath of the kaiju war. How do we deal with the fact that there is a 45-ton carcass in the middle of Tokyo?
Oops.
Right. There's actually an anime that touches on it a little bit. It's called Kaiju Number 8.
Okay.
And most of the anime is ridiculous bullshit.
Classic.
But the first part of it is that the main character is part of the kaiju removal crew.
Oh, right. Like at the start of, what was it, Pacific Rim number 2, where the people are just like carving up what's left of it there.
Yeah. And so like you've got to have somebody who's removing the intestines.
Right.
Right? Because you can't cut up the whole thing without dealing with the fact that it's got innards, and you don't want those to burst because it's going to be a huge problem.
Of course.
So somebody's got to go in and take care of the guts. And you've got to have somebody who's handling like the bleeding of the thing so that it's like not choking the city with acid blood or whatever it is that
right,
it's got
because its blood is
right?
super poisonous. And
yeah, so like that part was fun, and then the guy accidentally turns into a kaiju sometimes.
Oops.
Yep.
Hey, don't do that.
Oopsie doodle. Turned into a kaiju.
My bad.
But yeah, like that part of it was the part that I found interesting, was just like focusing on the kaiju removal crew and like the labor involved in this horrific event that is happening often enough that you have to hire a crew of people to deal with it.
Right. God, that's disturbing but good.
Right? I think we've got time for one more.
Okay.
Which one do you want to do?
Let's see. I liked when you said the reboot of Reboot, but I think what I actually want to talk about, because we said we are going to argue about it, is James Bond.
Okay.
So
yep, James Bond.
I put forward the idea that Daniel Craig's James Bond was already the gritty reboot of James Bond. When you put it beside, fucking Sean Connery, when you put it beside the worst of the Pierce Brosnans, when you put
everything but GoldenEye.
Timothy Dalton's Bond was still goofy. Like, I realize nothing got as weird as Sean Connery's, but like the series did not take itself super seriously until Daniel Craig.
See, I would say that that's probably true for Casino Royale, and just Casino Royale.
Really?
Like the others have started moving along that like shark jumping trajectory that James Bond is kind of known for. But I think Casino Royale is probably the best example of like a grounded, more realistic Bond that we've seen.
And
what I would love to see.
Skyfall wasn't?
Yeah, okay, Skyfall. The most recent one though.
No Time to Die?
Yeah.
They literally killed James Bond. I don't know how much more gritty you want them to be.
Okay, so what I would do with Bond, the thing that I would do with Bond to like really ground it and make it like as gritty as possible, is set it in World War II or early Cold War.
Okay.
Right. All of the advanced spy tech gear that he has is stuff that we already have.
Sure.
Right. Stuff we already know about now, but like 40 years ago, we had no idea.
Right. And then they hit it in the shoe.
Right. So, like, bring it to that. Did you ever read Queen and Country?
No.
Okay. It is a really great series about, like, the actual work of being a spy in the UK during the Cold War.
Right. Okay.
And it's dealing with, like, the amount of paperwork you have to do. And like protecting your assets and dealing with the fact that sometimes your assets get made and what happens when they get made if they're on the wrong side of the Berlin Wall.
Right.
And
which probably happened a lot.
And the company has no money.
Right.
Like your budget is nothing. You're not getting paid a huge amount. You don't have like super high tech spy gadgets or anything. You've got a gun and a fake passport. Fucking make it do.
Yeah, like, you don't exist, and we're not going to tell anyone that you do. Good luck.
If you die, we'll tell your parents that you died. We will not tell them how or why.
Yeah. You say, oops, he died, and then that's the end of the conversation.
So, like, take that and apply it to James Bond.
Sure.
Right? That would be the direction that I would take James Bond for, like, a super gritty reboot of just like the guy has no resources. He's just an incredibly resourceful, very violent spy.
So I actually had I don't want to say similar idea because this is more Cold War. I was thinking closer to like straight up World War II. Did you ever see Guy Ritchie's Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare?
I watched trailers and was very excited about it and then forgot it was happening.
Yeah, that sounds like you. You should watch it. I had a great time. Like, honestly, a great time. And so...
That's Cavill, yeah?
Yeah. Cavill and a bunch of other guys who are just doing their best to be Guy Ritchie meets World War II James Bond.
Okay. Into it.
Yeah. Give it a go. I want to see, like... Christopher Lee, World War II, cloak and dagger shenanigans behind enemy lines.
We had an argument about this a few days ago about who should play the Christopher Lee version of Bond. It was a separate argument.
Right.
But I still think that Lee Pace or Orlando Bloom would be good choices.
I can get behind Lee Pace. I cannot get behind Pretty Boy Bloom. If you're going to do Orlando Bloom, you might as well do Johnny fucking Depp.
Bloom is so much less pretty than he used to be. Like, he just looks like a normal man now. He is still a little thin. He can put on some muscle.
First of all, he is not a normal man. He looks ethereal. I don't care how aged he gets. There's something about the way his whole head comes to a point in front of his nose that just does not... Okay, here's what it is. I can tell that guy's never had his nose broken.
Okay.
Right?
No, that's
like
fair.
that's what he lacks is like his face, while like more gritty, lacks character from a hard life.
That's fair.
So
I think Lee Pace looks like he's been in a couple of fights.
Yeah, Lee Pace, I can get behind Lee Pace. Obviously, we're not going to mention our our unanimous favorite vote, which is Tilda Swinton. But
oh my god, it needs to happen.
She'd be so.
It needs
good.
to happen.
She's
so good. She would. Okay, like I want that to happen, and I want nobody to mention it.
No, not a thing.
Nothing. Just play it straight. Tilda Swinton is 007 James Bond. Fucking make this movie, please, Hollywood.
Like this is
set in World War II.
This is a license to print money. We're giving you the ideas for free.
Oh my god!
Just one time.
That's so good.
I don't even want like kickbacks. Maybe invite me to a premiere. No. That's it.
Just let me meet Tilda Swinton like over a Zoom call.
Yeah. Hi, Tilda. You're perfect.
Yes, everything you do is wonderful. Thank you very much for existing.
Constantine 2 when?
Life. Goodbye. Please and thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so good.
Anyways, yeah, no, I think they did a very good job of grittying James Bond on his own. You disagree for whatever reason?
I think it's still a little too flighty. I don't think it's grounded quite enough. Casino Royale, I can kind of see it, but
I mean, there's no fucking laser watch.
That's true.
I think the second you dial down Q branch, you're 90% of the way there.
Yeah, I think the big thing, like the reason that I would want to go back to the Cold War would be because Q branch can still be Q branch without shark jumping.
I see.
Right? Like it doesn't have to get weird. It can be stuff that we know exists.
Right.
Right? Like pen cameras, which like they aren't sleek or like super slick or whatever, but they did exist and they do work.
Yeah. They're just like kind of small.
Yeah, like microphones that you can plant in somebody's office that still involve like a Vox box.
Right.
So you have to figure out like which books you're going to hide it behind in the library. Right. That kind of shit. I
like the idea of them installing like a secret Morse code device. Like it's still beep, 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 but it's like he's got to assemble it from 7 different books.
Yeah. No, that's the kind of shit that I would love to see in a very gritty reboot of James Bond. And then again, just like keep it incredibly violent.
Right.
Like the way that James Bond is not a spy. He is a superhero who occasionally does spy things.
Right. Okay, what am I trying to think of that was like incredibly violent for no good reason?
Kingsman.
Well, I was going to say Kingsman, but like that I don't think that's violent enough. Like
the problem with Kingsman isn't that it isn't violent enough. I think it's too balletic.
Yes. What I'm saying is I want something closer to like what the best that Quentin Tarantino can do sometimes.
Right. I was thinking more in the John Wick direction, but I think that's just because John Wick is kind of the flavor du jour as far as like violence goes.
Well, yeah, John Wick is the gritty reboot of, a lot of these things already.
80s action movies.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think of who had just like gratuitous violence that was borderline uncomfortable.
There were a couple of things that I was seeing. Squid Game. I was watching Squid Game and was reminded of just how incredibly violent that series is.
Oh. There's a... Okay. Have you ever seen The Raid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, please. That very much, like, precursor to John Wick.
Yeah.
Insofar as, like, the violence goes. And, like, those long hallway oneers that, like, influence the Daredevils.
Yeah.
So fucking good.
Well, them and Old Boy for sure, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, just take that, put it in World War II or early Cold War.
Yeah,
James
and, like,
Bond.
Yes, James Bond's a superhero, but also, like, he can get tired, and a hallway full of bad guys is definitely the way to do it.
And Tilda Swinton in a suit.
Tilda Swinton just mowing through guys. We'll get... Okay, I had one other thought in that same vein, though. Gwendolyn Christie.
Oh, my God.
Like, okay. A towering force of nature of a woman as a spy.
Okay, so now I just want to make a movie that has Tilda Swinton and Gwendolyn Christie as
a buddy cop
spies. Oh. We don't even have to fucking call it James Bond. I just want that movie to happen now.
This is our gritty reboot of Spies Like Us.
Hey, thanks for making it all the way through this episode of No Plot Only Lore. If you're looking for more, you can always find us at noplotonlylore.com and on all the very best podcast platforms. If you like what you heard today, please share, rate, and review the show to feed my never-ending need for attention and validation.